Hello. Hello, hello. Hello, you beautiful people. What's happening? How are we all?
Doing good, doing good.
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good. And how's chat today? I mean, everyone's rolling in, so yo, Zeno. Welcome, guys, to the Solstice dev stream. This is a very exciting stream, especially for me, because this is the first time I've actually ever done a dev stream. So a little nervous, a little shaky, but we're going to get through it. And I am joined by my fellow colleagues. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, yep, I'm CCP Collins. I'm the lead product manager on EVE Vanguard.
And I'm Lucas, CCP Sneaky Snake. And I'm senior technical artist on EVE Vanguard.
Amazing. And I'm CCP Peeceful. I'm the community developer for EVE Vanguard. It was really funny when you said your name there. I was like, yeah, that's right. But then I realized what you did. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today. There's a hell of a lot. I don't even know where we begin. I guess one of the first things we could probably do is check out the focus, the in-focus that we released last night on YouTube. Do you guys want to roll with that first?
Yeah,
show these guys. Yeah, it's a really good video. So we'll roll with this so you guys can check out what is going to be in store.
The key vision statements for EVE Online is that we want to create the ultimate science fiction experience. The Solstice event will start on June 20th and run for 11 days to July 1st, and players will be able to deploy 24/7. We're actually building on a lot of the great work that happened in playtests from December and up till now, but there's a lot that has changed.
It's a brand new map, it's a completely new biome, it's new wreckage, new hazards, and looks like a beautiful archipelago that's been completely corrupted by wreckage that's crashed into the nearby ocean.
There's plenty of new content being added to the experience. We will be expanding on the industry work that we did in March, and we will also be adding new objectives for you to do to add suppression or corruption. Your activity really matters in the grander scheme of things.
When you first deploy, your weapon will be pretty thin, and you'll need to go and find chipsets in the environment that you can either get through looting or completing activities and events.
It's got the pre-known activities, which are the secured salvage sites, the mining rights, and then these escape pods, which are strewn all over the landscape that you can go and hack open with your mining laser. The secured salvage site is a lockdown secured depot, which the enemies found some stuff and they put it under a shield, and it's up to you to sort of break in and take the stuff for yourself, and you can use your mining laser to hack these panels to then gain access to the internals. This is where you're getting cool chipsets, which goes to support the adaptive weaponry and make your weapon unique to you.
The more dangerous the activity is, the greater the chipset rewards will be. Once you collect the chipsets, you'll either have to bank and extract to be able to keep them, or on certain events, they'll automatically be sent directly to your hangar. Before you next deploy, you'll have the option to go and customize your weapon with those chipsets that you have.
We've got this idea of the open contracts, which is the mining rights event. This is an event that gets called out to the entire session, so everyone gets told about this event. You go along, you show up, and you contest that site. This big drill comes in from space, people are coming in and trying to take it from you, and then you're defending it. We introduced these new gadgets, the motion scanner, which pings enemies around you. You can see what direction threats are coming from, and then you've got proximity mines, which you can place to defend those areas and those directions. And that came from feedback from players saying that they wanted more tools to help make their sessions more interesting.
Each of the weapon modes have an array of slots, so you support one scope and then 5 other generic chipset slots, and you can customize those however you like in whatever combination. You have 2 of these different modes, and those will define the 2 weapon types that you have that you can switch between on the fly. You're going to be feeling a lot of weapon sway, you're going to feel the weapon kind of pushing against you a little bit. This makes the weapon feel much more alive, make it feel a lot more visceral in your hand.
So after the Solstice event, We're actually going to lay low, just gather all this incredible feedback we've gotten. There is a reason why we are kind of focusing on the EVE community first. Make sure that like things go in the right places and we can really allow ourselves some time to prioritize and make sure that the next steps are even stronger. We have a free Omega in the Nest store right now, and you can claim it until midnight, June 20th. We're also going to be creating a founders program where we'll allow a bit more access to the developers, opening up dedicated Discords and getting people into focused playtests on topics that are maybe more focused and more detailed than the ones that we've been seeing till this point. So stay tuned and look forward to seeing you in space.
Awesome stuff. So there was a lot of new things there. I think the yeah. Do you wanna take the lead? What was your thoughts?
Well, I think that's the thing. This is like, we've been talking about this before. Like after First Strike, the first strike happened in December. This is the main chunk of the content that most of the team have been working on. We also had the First Strike playtests, but those were kind of just little minor updates. And we added the mining in March, but the vast majority of the team have all been working towards this release. So yeah, there's a lot that's gone into it. You know, planning all the way back before even First Strike, the first strike in December. We've been planning all of this stuff. So yeah, it's just good to see out there. I think the main goals around this were just about wanting to create more activity, more things for people to do, more reasons to keep deploying and have stuff that they can also take out. I think a lot of feedback that we got rightly around First Strike is the sessions were very contained, but there was no thread between them. There was no real reason from one session to a next to deploy down, other than just maybe completing a new contract or hoping you come across something different. So with the chipsets, there's a persistence now between the sessions. So there's this sense of progression that you're building your stash of chipsets, you're building your perfect weapon, you're building your loadouts, and then you're deploying that way. And then even on the surface, as well as a gorgeous new map to explore, there's lots of more activities that can happen on the surface of that planet now. And I think it was all within the goal of just creating more activities for people to do, more reasons for people to play for longer and over multiple sessions as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the key points here has been feedback, right? So we've taken so much feedback from all of these playtests throughout the months. Is there any in particular feedback you can list that we've taken on board?
I think there's a lot of things. It's quite interesting as well, because I think a lot of the things that a lot of people wanted, like I want more things to do, I want ways to customize my weapon. It was hard for us to not just say, we're working on it already, because there was kind of a lot of that stuff we knew was going to be the crux of the feedback, but a lot of quality of life feedback. We went really heavy on the January and February First Strike playtest. We made a lot of quality of life changes based on the feedback that we got from December. And there's a whole host of keybinds. Yeah. And adding in suppression as well.
Yes.
That wasn't originally a part of the plan for us to add suppression contracts in so soon, but we got so much feedback from the December and January playtests that we immediately prioritized it in so we can get it in for March. But yeah, there's a lot of that have all filtered in through into some of the stuff that we're doing, and we're trying some stuff differently as well here. There's some quality of life improvements that we hope will work, some that may not land, some that will land, right? This is why we do this, that we'll get loads of feedback on for this test that will immediately funnel back in for the next release.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a very good answer. And of course, the suppression and corruption is obviously, sort of vital, because it does kind of is sort of the way of tying into the EVE universe, right? Because even though it is Vanguard, it is still EVE Vanguard. So it's all about keeping within that new Eden. I think one of the big things that's coming to this update then is the map, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing, and it's called Solstice. So I know Sneaky Snake may have some comments on the new map, but where did the ideas come from? How did things pan out this way?
Yeah, gosh, long story, I guess. There's a lot of things we wanted to do with this map. a lot of different things we wanted to explore. I guess in general, a lot of it was about just doing something completely different than Carrion, and just really, in terms of atmosphere and mood, just sort of show a different angle. That's mostly visually and artistically. I think that was a big challenge we wanted to set for ourselves. And in gameplay space, we wanted to experiment with all sorts of different things as well. You'll probably notice if you play it, it's a lot more vertical, and there's a lot more, I guess, different ways of traversing the map, different kind of areas that you can get into.
I think one of the first things I noticed when actually jumping on the map was how much fall damage is considered compared to Carrion, because it was like, I think I took fall damage once on Carrion, just randomly. I thought, oh, there's fall damage in this game, and then I played this map and I think I found out there was fall damage within the first maybe 30 seconds. So you can definitely tell that it's also as well, like a lot of the community mentioned, it's with Carrion, it was very I don't want to say dull, but it was very dark colors, very gray, very it had its own kind of like rhythm, I guess, like theme throughout the entire map. Whereas like with Solstice now, you have like the different biomes, right?
Yeah, you do, and we wanted to really contrast that, because in Carrion we sort of had different biomes. We had sulfur swamps, and we had I guess the rest of the map. We had the central POI, which felt a little bit different, but here we really wanted to contrast those different areas and make them feel very different, and also play very different. If you're in the jungle, you will feel like the game is almost completely different in terms of how you approach navigating and looking around, compared to some of the other areas of the map.
Yeah.
And then indeed that sort of the fear of fall damage, the sort of feeling of I have to watch my step and I have to watch where I go is a lot more important here.
I think you both called out something which is, I'm glad you called that out as well, because I think it was a large part of Adam is Blue, our level designer, the work that he wanted to build in adding more verticality to the map. Is Carrion kind of is a bit of a bowl. All right, it's all generally on one big plane that kind of funnels into the middle. Is having Solstice have a lot more verticality in terms of breaking up combat lines as well, but also how you navigate the map and how those sight lines are broken up. It was a large part of the design direction of that new map. So glad that it's coming through, even if it is in the form of fall damage.
Yeah, I think for me personally, as like a competitive player, for me it's all about map knowledge, and I feel like map knowledge is going to be a lot more crucial on Solstice as opposed to it was on Carrion, and you can actually increase that sort of skill gap now, because the map knowledge is going to be so important, and it's going to be important to the way that you make your ideas, the way you take contracts, the way you initiate in activities, the way that you position your team as well, when you're countering or maybe on the offense. So yeah, it's definitely very different. I'm very excited to get back on it.
It's a much more complicated map.
Yeah, it is.
It will feel bigger. I think I can't confirm the actual sizing of it, but I think in terms of square footage, I think it's actually smaller than Carrion. But it will feel like a much larger map based on you've got a lot of overlapping areas. You can go underground, overground. So yeah.
I never
and that's good to be seeing some of the feedback of people going, oh my god, this is much bigger than Carrion, and we're like, we tricked you.
I thought it was bigger. I'm not gonna lie. I 100% thought it was bigger. If anything, if you told me it was 4 times bigger, I would have believed you. And I think you're right. It's because of the different levels, right?
I think that's the voodoo of good level design, right?
We definitely set out to make something smaller than Carrion, because we're like, that was a lot of work. Let's keep it simple. Didn't quite pan out. I still, to this day, like after months of playing this map, I still bump into areas that I've never seen.
Yeah, I found like a underground cave network that I hadn't found before. I fell in. There was a hole in some wreckage, and I fell in it, and there was just, it was like a, well, it was a mine. There was mining outlets everywhere around me, and I just in all my time hadn't stumbled across that place before, because I hadn't found that one area that funnels in through it, and I hadn't found that hole. So yeah, I think people will be constantly, like we are, coming up against areas in the map that they just didn't know were there.
It's a difficult thing though, right? Because it's like, I think it was like 3 islands and then it's connected via the wreckage. So I mean, the way that the map works is actually quite intelligent, and the way that you've managed to like loop the islands together to create one island with the wreckage is really impressive. I know when we started releasing assets for the new map, one of the assets we provided was the trees, and people in the community went wild over trees. And I think the shore as well. I think the water. I think everyone was very excited to see that. So if I just bring this on screen now, so I don't know if you want to go through the thought process of this, Sneaky, or where the idea of this came from, or
yeah, I can. I mean, there's obviously a concepting phase, and I can only talk about the concepting phase of the tree so much.
Sure.
Because I wasn't the one to do it. I think in general we wanted to make a map that felt a lot more alive and a lot more, maybe I wouldn't say alien, but I guess alive is the good word. Things that move, things that aren't just on fire. And so these types of foliage and trees that you've never really seen before was definitely something we wanted to play with. And I guess we had our concept team work with this and design these different types of trees and shapes. And at that point, we just kind of got this and tried to translate it into the 3D world, which is obviously an incredibly interesting challenge. These sort of natural shapes, but not quite natural things. Like, it's not an actual thing that is on Earth. So translating that convincingly into a 3D environment is very cool. So we developed all sorts of tools to help the art team with that, and to sort of give people that feeling of these trees being not quite what you expect. They react to the light slightly differently than you would expect any other tree to do.
It's interesting because like, obviously for me, it's, I see a tree, it's interesting and it looks really cool. And, maybe like, but that, as you just said, the way it reacts with the light is just something that I would never have taken into consideration. And I think that's what a lot of other people probably didn't either. And when you see like these diagrams and you see the kind of like information and narrative that goes into it is quite interesting. Very
even
cool.
the way they sound as well. Like they almost sound like, I don't want to describe them as creatures, but there's the creaking and the way they move and sound. There's almost something, I think alive is the word that Sneaky just used. I think I would describe it that as well, but it's my favorite part of the map, just to stand and take it all in. Obviously quite privileged as a dev to be able to jump into a map with nobody else in it, so I can just wander around without being shot at. But yeah, just with the dust particles and the god rays and just seeing the trees move and the sounds they make, it's amazing what the team have done just to make what is generally just a section of a map just feel so alive and rich.
Yeah, and it's impressive to see the different contrast in biomes when you're traveling. Like I spawned for the first time in the trees area, and then next thing I know, I'm straight in a wreckage, or I'm straight in like this icy zone. It's impressive to see the different biomes and how they connect so well. Cool. So I guess the map obviously incredible. We do have though a bunch of new features. So I guess we do have like I guess we could start with the mining tether, because that's a pretty cool, interesting one. The mining tether. So it's an activity, right? It's a contract that appears on the map.
Yeah, I think it's something like the way that we've been like the terminology we're using around our activities is like we've been calling structured activities is like our contracts, but we wanted more emergent activities, things that just kind of happen in the section that you have to make an on-the-fly decision of, do I get involved in this? Do I not? So the mining tether is one of our first, alongside salvage rights as well, is the first kind of foray into us creating these emergent experiences. So in the map, everyone will be warned that there is a zone that is now active where players can now call down the mining tether. They'll then have to keep the tethers aligned. There's like a little, maybe mini game is the wrong word, but you'll have to either work solo. It's harder solo, but either as a team work together to keep the tethers aligned as the mining tether does its job. And then once it's done that, it will then go back away. And the team that had control of that area when the mining tether is done will get the rewards for that. So everyone knows the position of that, though. So you can expect some skirmishes to happen as teams fight for control of the mining tether to get the rewards from it. But yeah, as you can see here as well, it's our first instance of something dropping in from the sky as well, which is really exciting for us. But yeah, there it is in its glory, and there are the very wild tethers. But yeah, the teams will have to work at each of those tethers to keep that aligned, to keep the progress ticking on. You can see it in the central column there on the mining tether. It'll tell you how far it's gone along. But what we're doing is we're hoping you can create a bit of a flashpoint. Is it something that either players will want to stay away from, but if they want to get involved in some PvP, you can very much guarantee that you're going to come across other players as people are fighting for these mining tethers. And this hopefully is just the start of these kind of activities that we want to create, because we also have the other activity as well, which I'm sure we can talk about.
Yeah, it's kind of like a capture the flag or like King of the Hill kind of aspect to it, really. Yeah, and it is really cool because, and obviously as a squad is so much easier because you can have one on each tether, but then you can't all be on the tethers because, as you said, it's going to be alerted on the map and people are going to be coming for it. Yeah, so it's a really cool aspect of the game. What did you say at the last bit then? Did you say something?
We have the other activity.
Right.
I can't remember the full name of it. I want to call it by its dev name because it's been
the salvage,
referred to so long as that.
The salvage, secure salvage.
Secure salvage. That is the name. Yep.
These are a lot of fun. We do have some gameplay for this one as well.
Awesome. Yeah, this one's really cool as well. So this one's a bit more local than the other one. So these are already present on the map. Different instances of maps will have different ones activated, so you won't always find them in the same place. But here, this isn't just something that's called out on the map that happens at a specific time. You will have to go and activate these. So what this is there's basically some secured salvage, and you need to hack into a terminal to be able to gain access to that. But the hacking process takes time. Whilst you're hacking, hordes of NPCs will start spawning in around you, and you kind of have to defend the point from those. If you're in exterior points as well, you'll actually see them drop down, which is really cool. And you need to defend the point whilst the hacking's going on, but there are terminals around you that you can use to speed up the process, but the NPCs are going to be wanting to dismantle those as well, so there's a bit of micromanagement that's needed to ensure that the hacking process is continuing. But I really love this. I love third-partying this as well. So I'm the type of person that I won't initiate one of these. I'll wait for somebody else to do it, and I'll wait for them to do all the hard work for me. And then when they get slightly overrun by NPCs, I then come in, take advantage of it, and then once the hacking's finished, I'll steal the loot and I'll go. But there's also, it is one of those things that we want to just create these kind of experiences in the game where you're worried about NPCs, other players recloning in that you've just killed wanting revenge, as well as being third partied. All of these things should be swirling in your mind when you're making decisions about, should I engage with this, shouldn't I engage with this? Or you might just stumble across a team taking on one of these and thinking, oh, is this the right time to take advantage of that? And that was something we didn't have in First Strike, right? It was just running around, finding people and just bumping into them and killing them. Now people are starting to be congregated around certain areas of the map that you can now start to play around or avoid depending on your playstyle.
Yeah.
It's so good to see a drop pod come in and a bunch of AI come out of it and run into a cave, and you're like, oh, there's some people doing some some business in there.
Yeah, and that alert is terrifying. I don't know if you can hear it on the stream, but the alert is like a siren that goes off. But the one thing that I like is, so obviously the mining tool that was introduced previously, it's not just used for, you know, gathering resources anymore. It's also used for completing objectives, like these salvage sites. So it's just nice to see.
We always kind of wanted to do that, and it even surprised us. I remember when we put the mining laser, and not even we hadn't even put it out yet. We put a video of the mining laser on Discord, and people were already going, "Oh, I can use this for target painting." And straight away, we're like, people are already thinking about ways that they can use this. So luckily, our designers were also thinking about the same thing. So these panels need the mining laser here. There are also some internal prototypes that we're just playing around with and exploring about how other ways can we use this mining laser, which is really cool. We don't want it to just be for mining. This is a tool, and why shouldn't we be using it for other things?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because when I first went into this with the squad, what we originally planned was we would have someone watching the front, someone watching the back, and then one person doing the mining, doing the patterns. And we quickly found out that it was actually better to do it separately. So all three of us took one section each, and then we would, whoever done this quickest would just go to the last one, and then the other two can hold off the enemies. So there's a lot of different tactics that you can do with it. And obviously as well, you still got to remember that there is going to be other players around that could potentially just come in and sweep it from under you after you've done the hard work.
I imagine a meta's going to form. All of these things happen, and players will figure out a way of min-maxing this. Like, we saw this with contracts that we added in with First Strike. We never imagined that people would be able to complete, you know, almost 1,500 of them over a weekend. But that they surprised us with that. This is why we do this, and this is why we get excited by this. Is be really interesting to see how people kind of break and form a meta and strategy around these kind of things that we put out. We kind of plop them in to create some emergence in the gameplay, and how people interact with them, how they interact with others around it, is super interesting. Right? We might even find 2 squads of 3 decide that it's more effective to help each other and take this on together and share the rewards. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think when you loot them, I think they have chipsets in them as well, I believe, which is really, really cool. We will go on to the chipsets and the adaptive weaponry in a moment, but since we're on the topic of the mining, I think it'd be really cool to just talk about the escape pod cracking. This is another cool element to the game where you find pods around the map, and you can just hack them, enter the code, and then redeem some credits.
Yeah, this is one of the things that when we're kind of doing a lot of open prototyping, I think this was the brainchild of CCP Principal, our lead game designer, who was looking at ways to better utilize the laser and come up with things that players can just stumble upon and have to interact with in the world. And it is really cool already to see these jetson pods that players have to hack into. Adding a new mechanic in here, obviously, with the hacking, having to wait for the numbers to appear, which exposes you as well. So there's risk reward in the gameplay as well. All of these things are just really cool, and I think it's very worth spending your time if you stumble across one of these. The credits you can earn from these are generally quite a lot, so it's worth, if you spot a few, taking your time, unless you feel they expose you too much. But you'll find them all littered around the map. Again, one of the many things we want to add to kind of just keep you entertained, and we always talked about this from like a perspective, is the player has their goals. There's something that they want to achieve in the session. It's our job to just put loads of stuff in their way that may just draw their attention, and that's the kind of, this is a prime example of that kind of gameplay.
Yeah, I think the tactic that I found is, if you get to a loot site, you do the pods first, the escape pods first, activate it, go loot everything, and then come back to it. Right. I shouldn't be sharing this information, but because I know I did my secret strats, but I feel bad for getting to play it early. But yeah, I think it's a really cool element introduced to the game. So I know we talked about the chipsets that you can receive now. So this is very interesting, because I feel like this is such a customizable. It's such a way for players to be able to customize the way that they play the game. in the term of these chipsets, where they can actually design their gun to work the way that they want it to. So if I bring up the adaptive weaponry, like for example in this clip here, you'll see that there's 2 separate modes now per gun, correct? Like it has like 2 different personalities.
Yeah, there's like an alpha and beta loadout, so players will create their own loadouts in the front end, and they can switch between them using Q. If you press Q, you'll switch between the 2 loadouts on the fly. So like a strat I like to use is I create a short range loadout. It's very bursty, very kind of from the hip, and then I create a never loadout, which is a bit more long range, and then I just switch between the 2 when I've got different engagement ranges. But there's also like scopes is a part of this as well. Like I think if I go back to like the original goals, like because you're right, we wanted to go very wide with this. When we talked about how we wanted to take weapons forwards, there was some paths we could take. We could just keep making more weapons, or which is kind of the wide approach to making weaponry, or we could actually just go tall with our weapons, make these weapons platforms that players can then customize, and how deep we go to the customization is up to us, right? And we wanted to just see how far we could go with this by exposing as many parameters of that weapons profile to the chipsets. So, and then create chipsets around that at different tiers, at different stat levels, for players to basically just start creating those things. We wanted people, we wanted it to be inefficient as well. Like people can make bad builds, and that is a part of this, is you will have to learn what works for you. But it's not just about power. There isn't like a final build that is perfect. It's about how you like to use the weapon, right? Like I like DMRs, but I'm not a very twitchy shooter. I don't like getting up in close range and just trying to keep my crosshair on you. I like being far away and knowing that you don't see me, and then me trying to get a pot shot on you. So I'm going to be building my weapon around that, but there will be people who just want to run at people and fire from the hip and unload a clip as quickly as possible. Both of those things work. And that's the kind of realm that we wanted to create here with the chipsets. Is there is a progression in it. The more chipsets you have and the higher ones you have, the more customization you have over the weapon. But it is about expression, what works for you and how you like to kill people and how you like to engage in combat. You're building your loadouts that way. And I think we have, over around 70 chipsets at the moment. So there's a lot of customization you can do, from scopes and highlights, changing things like, damage output and stability, recoil control, all of these things. We're just really excited. It's one of those things again. Let's see how people break it, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody creates a meme build, we want to see what those meme builds are. If there is a build that starts to rise from the crop as like, this is a really good build and it's slightly overpowered, we want to see that now, because it's at this stage that we can start making those changes. We want to see where the balance, the deltas are, and we wanted to put it out as wide as possible so people can just rip, tear and rend this thing. But it's again is emphasizing that the weapons that we build, and this isn't always going to be a one weapon game, right? We only have one weapon at the moment. We will eventually get around to making more weapons, but we just still feel there's more depth we want to build into the weapon system. This is the first step on that, and be really exciting to see all the different builds that people make.
Yeah.
I know there's a player, I keep calling him out, Levi Thunder. He likes meleeing people. Unfortunately, there aren't any melee chips. He can't make any melee builds, but I know he just likes running at people, right? So he may be thinking about creating some short range loadouts to help him out, because I know we've added a cooldown to melee now, which I think he's very unhappy about.
Primarily devs, he likes to practice on, I think.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. But no, what's really cool about this though, is that obviously I know a lot of people say like, is it still one gun? I mean, the difference is this time it's like, yeah, it's still one gun, but it can be shaped in any kind of way that you want it to be. Obviously there's limitations and stuff, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what the meta is going to be as well. I know, as you said, like people breaking it, which is probably going to be the same route as creating a meta. But something that's really nice as well is the touch of the fire rates, right? So you have like automatic, which is like normal, but then you also have semi and semi and burst, isn't it? I think. Yeah, so you can have the burst and you can have the semi, and I think a lot of people, everyone's like, oh, where's the snipers or where's the DRM and stuff like that. But at least you can actually kind of convert it into one of those now, to suit your playstyle. And as you said earlier, it's definitely for me, I definitely use long range and short range. So it's definitely it's definitely going to be a change in pace when I play the game now.
I think because we still only have the one gun, we've gone very wide. I think, like, I was chatting to some people in Discord about this the other day, is that over time, when we add more weapons in, the individual frames may feel like their characteristics tighten a bit. Like right now, we have gone very wide because we only have one weapon. We do want people to build across the full spectrum. But at the end of the day, the Core 80 is still an assault rifle. We're not going to allow you to add chipsets on it that make it a shotgun or make it a sniper rifle. You'll be able to kind of pull it from the center in towards more of a kind of a close range bursty weapon and to a DMR. But our intention isn't to just make like kind of a one size fits all weapon that you can, change into absolutely everything. And that's the next weapons that we'll add will be a different type of frame that will have their own characteristics and likely their own set of chipsets that can pull that in kind of either direction, left or right of the center as well.
Yeah. Did Sneaky, did you want to say anything on the weapons, or?
I mean, absolutely. I think.
Yeah.
Didn't want to.
No, go.
Because there's so much to talk about. I guess as developers, the adaptive weaponry is just such a fun thing to play around with, even if it's like just the sitting around the kitchen table and discussing, hey, have you been able to make this zoom work? Because I don't know, it's just it screws up my recoil a little bit too bad, and then I don't know, you get to properly theory craft and sort of talk about the game, which is just really exciting. And as a challenge from a developer's point of view, making this system work and making it feel right, because I know there's CCP Collins was talking about 70 different chipsets. There's a couple of parameters that we tweak and that each of these chipsets tweak, and sort of figuring out how to make those things feel right, and to make it feel right if your gun turns from a close range weapon to a long range weapon, is just a very exciting thing to work on. So I can't wait to work on this more, to be honest. I think with this sort of first iteration of it and getting it into people's hands and seeing what they do with it, that'll be very nice to see, but I'm just excited to drill into it even deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice to see that there's like a tier system on them as well, where they have like I think it's blue is 1, and then green is 2, and then purple is 3, I believe.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is really cool. So obviously, like when I'm deploying and I'm managing my loadout, I always if I get full inventory, I'll always prioritize the 2 over the 1. So there's that little bit of like inventory management as well, which is nice to have. Yeah, and
it really makes you sort of look, if you've got this build of a weapon but it's just not dealing enough damage, so you just keep dying.
Yeah.
It really gives you a reason to go look for a like higher tier chipset of this power module, or to really pull your gun over the edge and make it as strong as you need it to be. Gives you a big reason to sort of redeploy and look at the map more, because there's so many different ways to get these chipsets as well. Some are better than others. And this, again, is one of those things that I was talking to one of my colleagues earlier today. And he was like, oh yeah, there's this other thing hidden on the map where you can also get chipsets. And that's a really efficient way. And I was like, oh my God, I've never even run into this.
You're not going to share that with us, no?
Oh no, keeping
Yeah, and I think like that's like the start of how people acquire chipsets as well, because it's worth saying, like, this is the first step in adaptive weaponry. Like, for the next release, we're already planning on how we can build more depth and strategy into the system in terms of how people acquire chipsets, and we've had to make some balancing changes as well to accommodate, because now there's far more risk in death, right? Like, you have things to lose now, right? If you die, you lose the chipsets that are on your weapon, and if you haven't banked any, the ones that you're also carrying in your inventory, right? So we've had to accommodate for that. So reclones, we give you, are a bit more generous now, but like reclones as well, and this is a hashtag dev tip, always keep a reclone handy. Like, think of it as like insurance, because if you die, you will reclone with the same chipsets on your weapon. You'll have to go back to get the ones that are in your inventory, but you get to keep the ones that are on your weapon. Take a moment to reflect. If you are down to no reclones, is it worth extracting so you get to keep the ones that are on your weapon, or do you want to take that risk moving forwards? So I think it's like, it is really cool to see how people play as well, because I'm having to get over the fact that when I play a lot of these games, I suffer from a lot of gear fear. Is where I have my tier 3s and I never want to use them because I'm really worried. So like, I'm having to accommodate, and it's made me think about reclones very differently. When I think of like that last reclone as that moment where I go, okay, I've got a chance to keep my tier 3s on my weapon, I'm going to extract. So yeah, I think it adds a lot of permutations to gameplay, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I've started to approach it differently, actually. In same as in EVE Online, where you, at the end of the day, if you're net positive, like at the end of your play session, that's a win. So if you go in and you die, but as long as you get out with more good chipsets than you got in with, that's fine. And then I just get to experience building my weapon again with different and hopefully better chipsets. So I've started to not even try to survive anymore and take my chipsets out, but just make sure I run a net positive, which I think is really fun as well. It's just a different way of playing.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about this, right? Is we want people will come at this from different angles. Like, I'm a very lazy theory crafter. Whenever I play deck builders, I just go on meta websites and just, right, that one looks good, I've got the cards I need for that. Like, I'm just waiting for the experts to tell me, like, hey, this is the loadout for a really good DMR, because I'm just too lazy to experiment myself in certain places. And I think this is one of the things we thought about when we made this. I think, like, you talked about this, Sneaky, right? Is like, theory crafting is, we want that to be a significant part of the strategy of how you deploy. Is there's that, and if people want to theory craft themselves and experiment, that's fine, but people just want to watch a YouTube video of somebody who's found that perfect SMG or that perfect DMR, then that's also good, right? But that just adds to the experience rather than just it being a second gun that you pick up, which is what we never wanted it to be that simple.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. Like, if I'm gonna go dropping, into like Warzone or something, the first thing I do is I go and watch a video to see what the meta is, right? So it's definitely opening the gates to that. I think the other thing as well that you touched up on is, the gear fear idea is, it's kind of like the EVE Online rule, isn't it? That you don't fly a ship if you can't afford to lose it, right? So it's kind of like that link there as well. Yes, it's very, very cool. I think so. The other things that we have brought in is the motion scanners and the proximity mines. These are a lot of fun.
And the designers were experimenting with loads more as well. These were the two that we decided we could get in a decent place for this test, but like Unchained, they will just keep making as many of these little deployables and craftables as possible. But like, the motion scanner for me is game changing, because I like playing solo. I like mining, and I can't always watch my back. So if I can just pop down a motion scanner, listen for the blip. But I'm also very cautious. Like you said, my preferred gameplay style is keeping people at a distance and shooting them that way. So having the motion scanner to see what's up ahead is awesome. And the mines as well, like the old tactic of putting down a claymore behind you like in COD, right? It's like that. It's like I can kind of cover my rear if I need to. If I find a good point and I want to, take up a position, I can put a couple of mines down. We've also found in playtests as well people using them for trolling, like just putting loads of mines around a bank station so people can't get to it and stuff like that. It's just adding more factors into the gameplay, which is really exciting.
Yeah, one of the things I did yesterday was I was trying to gather footage for the mines, and I'll be honest, I was only what should have took 15 minutes to just log on and demonstrate how a mine worked actually took me about 3 hours because I was just having so much fun with it. Like for example, like here I went to the secure salvage site and just decided to place mines everywhere, just to watch the enemies come in waves and just get blown up, and it was amazing. It was so much fun, especially as a solo player as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's it just opens up. I guess you have to be sort of maybe not careful, but you need a bit of a scalpel approach to what you add to the game and what you don't. As CCP Collins was saying, there's so many ideas of stuff we could add into the game, and it's all very exciting. And it's just giving players a couple more tools. Just makes being in a session and looking for your own playstyle so much more interesting. Because before we really just had the shield mostly, and the shield was much bigger of an impact than, at least let me speak for myself, I would have expected.
You could definitely see a lot more players as the playtest went on using the shields a lot more strategically, and I think that's probably what's going to happen here. Are they friendly fire if a teammate walks over one?
Yeah, I think looking at that damage report you've got on the screen, you took damage from a peaceful.
Yeah, my own one. I did.
So whether that's splash, that could either be splash damage, but yeah, I think I'm pretty sure there is some friendly fire on them, especially with squad mates. You should be careful. Don't just place them down willy nilly. Remember where you parked your mine.
It's funny for me to see, actually. Normally I just see proximity mine dash CCP Rage, who is a prolific proximity mine placer, who always gets me.
Yeah, I was trying to record footage yesterday, and it was very funny because I just kept blowing myself up. They just kept attacking me, and but no, they're a lot of fun. And as you said, the motion scanner as well. I think that's going to be very crucial, especially if you're doing like these new activities, like maybe like the mining tether. You put it on like sort of choke points, or maybe you're doing the secured salvage sites, especially inside the wreckage. You could set it up so that it's holding those sort of choke points to make sure that you don't get flanked by other players. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of strategies that we see coming out from the players.
Yeah, and there is audio on the mines, so be listen out for that distinctive chirp. It will haunt you.
Yeah,
because sometimes you hear the chirp and you know it's too late. It's too late. But
yeah. I think the other thing then is there's these fragments around the map. Can we talk about those, like the Easter egg fragments?
Yeah, I think it's worth not talking about them too much because
Okay.
you will find little data panels around the map. Some of them may lead to a hidden cache that's on the world, and some of them may allude to some illicit activity that was happening on the map from a certain corporation of Upwell. But we can see here, yeah. So we it won't be long before somebody pieces these all together. But yeah, I think maybe the less said about that, the better.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I just thought we'd bring it up because I've seen them a lot, and yeah, it's just something to mention. Aside from that, then I think that's pretty much everything in regards to the features. Obviously, because the first strike has ended now, it's now Solstice. One of the things that we want to make clear is that even though this is the last sort of public playtest, we are going to be doing internal playtests moving forward. So what this means is that we've opened the Vanguard official Discord now. People can join the official Discord, and they'll be able to find more information on this. So it's not like we're going to go quiet. We are gathering all the feedback and everything that we've learned from the past playtests. Very importantly, listen to the community, but it's going to be more internal now.
Yeah, there won't strictly be monthly playtests in the way that we've done First Strike. That isn't to say that we're done with playtests. We're certainly not. There's still some decision making we have to do off the back of this playtest, but yeah, we moving into that founders program where we are running more internal playtests with the community is what we'll be doing as we build towards the next major content release.
Yeah. There will be a lot more information on that in the Discord as the weeks, in the coming weeks. So if you guys aren't already in the official Discord, come check it out because it's a great place. We've got, I think we've got over 2,000 people in there now within, sort of a few days, which is incredible. But yeah, so we are sharing a lot of stuff on there if you guys want to get involved. The other thing to discuss, I know the roadmap. So obviously just what we've already touched on previously about the founders and the internal playtests and stuff, but just to go over the roadmap very briefly, because we are at the end of it now. This is the final part, the new map, weapon modifications, session persistence and fitting. Yeah, it's been a pretty long 6 months, I guess, 7 months since.
Yeah, if you asked me this time last year whether we thought we could run a monthly playtest, culminating in this patch in June, I would have probably called you insane. The amount of effort that's gone into this and the effort from the team has been absolutely incredible to get to this point, which is really cool. But and if you'll allow me to spiel as well,
go for it.
I don't want this to feel like it is the end, right? It certainly isn't. The team are now transitioning into our next development block where we're building out the rest of the future of the game that will do another content release that we're hoping will be near the end of this year, that we're now working towards now. And there's some awesome stuff already planned in that around building in more strategic depth and agency into the experience, more purpose and narrative into places as well. That we're now transitioning into of building that for the last couple of months. A whole lot of us have been planning that release, and I can't tell you what we're planning just yet as we kind of explore that and solidify that, but some of the stuff that we're already starting to cook up just sounds really exciting, and it's all about taking steps in growing this product with the community and building towards that goal of building an MMO FPS. Really, that's the North Star that we eventually want to build towards, and the feature set that we're building hopefully will take us there.
Excellent. Sneaky, did you want to mention anything in regards to the roadmap?
In regards to the roadmap?
Yeah.
Gosh. I mean,
I didn't want to leave you out. That's what it was. I didn't want to leave you out.
I'm excited to work on it. So.
Yeah, sure. No, that's fine. Something that we do want to bring up though is the new weapon skins that we have coming with the Solstice launch. So I'll just bring these up because we got some really cool videos to demonstrate these. Let me just check these on there. So we have the default gun, the base core 80, has had a complete reskin, I guess. It looks much more clean now. A lot more bronze effect. We also have the Arcombine skin. This Arcombine skin is for anybody who participated in the December playtest last year. Very nice. I really like the glow on the handles as well. Really impressive. And then, of course, we do have the Edencom skin that I know a lot of you were already aware of because I think you received emails about it. But the Edencom skin was given to the players that participated in 4 out of 6 of the challenges throughout the First Strike events. There is another skin reward as well that I will mention, but it's going to be provided later. It's not actually for it is for Solstice, but it's not going to be distributed anytime soon. It will come at a later date. So there will be more information on that, though. Of course, by all means, just jump in the Discord, and we should be able to find that. So the other thing then as well, so there will be challenges as well, like we've done with the First Strike events, where there will be a leaderboard. But for the challenges, for the harvesting 80 units of reactive alloy and craft 900 units of energy ammo, you will receive the Algos Arcombine Horizon skin. I know a lot of people have probably, I think a lot of people have asked me already whether you can do this solo. I'm 99% sure you can. I haven't been told otherwise, because I know from the past previous playtests, we did switch them up that you could do them in solo, because I know a lot of people were requesting them. The other skin then is the Zekura Navy issue Arcombine Horizon skin. And you can get the skin by getting 25 kills with each firing mode, the semi-auto, burst fire, and full auto firing. This comes in the form of chipsets that we was talking about earlier. So you do get the chipsets on the map from completing the activities and looting, etc. And it's going to be out of those 3 chipsets, the full auto firing is just going to be ordinary, but then you've got the other chipsets, which is semi-auto and burst fire, that you can find and apply to your weapon. And then, of course, the final one is the leaderboard that is 3,000 plex. That's up to grabs again. So if you place top 10 in the leaderboard, then you should be able to earn some plex. The way that we've done it this time is you need to drop into a game and complete at least 1 contract, pick up and successfully bank, or extract at least 1 weapon chipset. Excellent. Aside from that, I think that's pretty much everything. Was there anything that you guys wanted to add?
I think I'm going to go and play the game.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm sat here with my fingers crossed, hoping you say no, so I can just go and play. But
I've got all these chipsets to grind.
Amazing. No, I'm very, very excited. But no, thank you both for coming on and doing this with me. It's been an absolute pleasure and very insightful as well.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I will
Cool. Thank you so much.
catch you guys in a bit.